integrative coach for 18 years, and I specialize in relationships. And before we get started, the topic we're going to talk about today is forgiveness, which is huge. And we're just going to pick a specific area of forgiveness. But before we do that, I'd love to talk about, read about an inspirational quote. And so what it says about forgiveness is, when you forgive, you're in no way change the past, but you sure do change your future. And that's by a man named Bernard Meltzer. And so I just wanted to invite you to know one thing, is that I do a free consult, and we're coming back down to the end of the year. And, you know, I would love for you to create the best year of your life. Instead of bringing in the stuff that you have now, let's together create the best year of your life and bring that into 2018. So I do a free consult, and my number is 954-464-7017. And I'm at Coach Rochelle at Comcast.net. And my website is www.RochelleSchwartz.com. So, with any further ado, I want to introduce you to my special guest. She's my confidant, she's my best friend, and that's my daughter, Alicia Cara.
Hi.
So thank you for coming.
Thanks
I
for
so
having
appreciate it. I really do.
Thanks for having me. A treat.
And it is a treat. It's a treat for me. And the two of us do the same work as well. So tell them first, Alicia, who are you personally, and then who are you professionally?
Well, I feel who I am personally is a healer, and someone that cares deeply about people.
That's true.
And someone that has a really big heart for all humanity. Really, that's who I am at the core, and very nurturing and loving.
And you're also a sister?
Oh yes, I'm a sister, I'm an aunt,
right?
And I'm a foster mother to a dog named Muffy, and my best friend's dog. And that's who I am personally, I would say.
And so we're going to get into the topic of forgiveness. And so what I wanted to share first is that one of the biggest things for me in forgiving, you know, you can forgive in so many areas of your life, but the one that really hit me the hardest and the most was that I was violated by my dad, and that I was verbally abused by my ex-husband, her father.
My daddy.
So it's interesting, because I do believe that if you don't stop the abuse, it will continue into all areas of your life, into all your relationships. And so doing shadow work, which definitely are techniques that are totally proven, that if you do the work, you will work through it without a doubt. Otherwise, I would not be sitting here and telling you that my father abused me and my ex-husband was a verbal abuser.
And then he was my daddy.
So I tried, what can I tell you? And, but I'm really grateful, because, you know, what you do in your life, if you cannot forgive, then you're the one who's carrying it. And it has nowhere else to go except within your body. And then what happens? It's disease. So the work really helps all your wounds, and where you receive all the gifts. And believe me, there really are gifts in this that really help you move forward in your life and create the greatest life that you can possibly have. And it also helps where if you don't work through it, you're the one who's working and walking through the anger and the resentment and the hostility. And for what? When you could really shift that and change all of that. So with all of that, I just want Alicia to share some of her experiences about forgiveness, and just share with the audience some of the things that you work through, and then we'll just go back and forth with it.
Well, I think the first thing I learned with shadow work and forgiveness is really the only way to forgive is to forgive yourself for what you feel that has hurt you or damaged you. And then in return, then you can, it's easier to forgive, it's easier to forgive yourself, I think, before you forgive another. So I think by me doing all this shadow work all these years and opening the layers and layers and layers, I feel like I was able to open to that next level of forgiveness of another. And I think the biggest forgiveness that I had to achieve was my father.
You sure did.
And so, and the thing is about forgiveness is it doesn't, forgiveness is an ongoing process. It's not like it's just one time you forgive your father and whoop, that's it, we're done. It's a constant evolutionary process, for sure.
And I think it's even harder when the other person doesn't have any kind of knowledge of this.
Because they're totally unconscious.
Totally unconscious.
Yeah.
And what they do is they come back and they try to do the same thing
over again. And then they create the person on the outside world.
Right. And
they go, why do I still have the same person in my life?
Yeah.
Well, that's because you still haven't forgiven.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like yesterday, I have to ask you, will you forgive me?
Yes, I'll forgive you.
Because we had a wild morning, so I just wanted to make sure that we can be on that same page today. And
but that's the gift of doing the work, You are able to access that level of forgiveness quicker than if you don't have me.
And so
work.
I just want to introduce you today to my two little puppets. This is your light shadow. This is from your heart. And this is what your heart will always say to you. It will say, you know what? Do the right thing for yourself. Take it back and love who you are. Work through that. Because especially with forgiveness, it soothes the soul. And this is my heart. My heart I always wear on my sleeve. And I'm going to tell you something very interesting that Alicia doesn't know.
No. That's good.
That my
Something
niece today told me
good.
that I have a sister that I haven't spoken to in 15 years?
Probably longer.
15 or 16 years. Yeah. And she was she wasn't nice about what she did to my daughter, and anybody that does anything to my kids, I'll kill them. So in any event, this is my dark shadow, and this is what my dark shadow would have said about my sister. You know what? I'm not forgiving her. Forget about it. Look at what she did to my daughter.
Right.
The hell with it. I don't care. But as time has gone by, and it's 15 years, my niece told me today that her daughter went to see, it's her grandmother, who's my sister. And she said to her, so many times I wanted to pick up the phone.
Interesting. Wow.
And call, and they used to call me Shelley. She said, so many times I wanted to pick up the phone and call Shelley, and I haven't been able to. And it's 15 years. And my niece said to me, if she ever decides to do that, will you let me give her your number? And I said, absolutely. And there was a moment in that time period that she was saying this to me that I thought, I wonder, and I don't know for sure, I really have to meditate on this, but I wonder if I should pick up a phone and call her. I'm not clear about it yet. I really don't know. But I was shocked. I was really shocked that she said that she had thought about me many times to pick up a phone and call me. And there's a saying like, I'll be bigger. I'll be the big one.
Yeah.
But I have to be sure about that. And I have to really meditate on this because I'm not sure. And if I'm not sure, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? Were you
It's
surprised?
Not really.
You're not?
No.
Why?
I think as time heals, I think you've done enough of that work of acceptance in that relationship. So I think it's actually perfect. And I think if you ever speak to her, it won't even be it'll be just easy.
Yeah, and you know, the other thing is I have another sister who is not talking to me. And this is it'll be a year now. And, you know, when you do a lot of this forgiveness, you know, you can't change for somebody because you have to be authentically who you are. But my other sister said that she will never speak to the other girl, my other sister. And I thought about that, and I thought that was interesting. I don't know why, and I'm certainly not going to be the one to put them together right now because I don't know what I want to do. But it's just interesting how forgiveness came up today and how perfect it was for us to have this conversation.
And I also think moving into the holidays, into the holiday time, it's a really important time to, you know, everyone's with their families and they're feeling a lot of anxiety around being with their families. And it's really to remind ourselves that, you know, you only have one family. Absolutely. And even if you don't get along, that's fine. But the forgiveness piece is huge because it's not really, you know, we think that when we're forgiving, you know, someone else that they're getting off the hook if we forgive them. But it's really we're getting off the hook.
That's true.
We're disengaging from what has given us that angst. Mm-hmm. So by forgiving, you're really releasing that for yourself and then releasing the other. So you're free.
And do you think it takes a very a special person to say to somebody, I forgive you? I'll take back the ownership that perhaps I did something in that relationship, and I just want to let you know that I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a level of responsibility that we are the examples for people. So by doing that, you're saying, hey, you know what, I was wrong. I forgive you, and I'm taking responsibility, and it releases that energy with you and the other person. So again, you're free. You don't have to hold on to that.
See, I have a hard time with that.
I know.
I just do. There's something that happens to me, and it could be this righteousness that I'm right and you're wrong.
Right.
So I have to diffuse. And sometimes it takes a really long time, like it could be a whole day. And I'm the one who's, of course, carrying it, and I have to be right about it. So yesterday in my text to her, because I knew I just couldn't get into it with her, and at the end, I was so cute. I wrote, I don't want to be bothered by you. And then I said, and here is, and I put these little icons, and this is your trophy. Did you get that?
I saw it.
So I still get triggered by it. I still have a hard time, and maybe it's because we're that close.
Well,
do you think that's it? Or
no, I just think it hits your wound. It hits your wound, and then when your wound is hit, you're off in another direction and you can't hear me and so on. If it were the other way around, or if I were in my wound, I couldn't hear you. So we can forgive each other.
Right.
But I just let you be.
Which is...
Because I know you.
Thank God. Thank God she lets me be. But the other thing is, if it's easier, I think at times, even if it's wound to wound, I still think it's easy with somebody else other than you and I.
Well,
I just do.
It's a different connection. So
that's what I'm saying.
But the deeper you are with someone, the harder it is to disconnect and disengage and to forgive. But that's the one that you need to forgive the most, is the one that's the most challenging.
So what I want you to do is tell them how you disengaged from your dad, the things you had to do, and it was really a challenge. Really a challenge.
Well, I think it was a process with my father. I think that when I started to realize that, you know, my dad was there to teach me more about myself, and I started to do more shadow work, then I started to look at those things that were triggering me with him. And then once I was able to see myself through him, then I was able to disassociate, really disengage with him and see myself, so that I can then start to forgive myself with certain things that he did to me, certain things that he wasn't there for me. He was an abuser. He was.
Right.
I started to uncover that within myself as well, and could see, where am I that? Where am
that
I the
abuser?
abuser? Where
Yep.
am I
Yep.
the violator? Where am
Yep.
I the victim?
Yep, absolutely.
And when I started to take back that part of me and take responsibility for those parts of me that my father was showing me,
Right.
it was easy for me to start to transform the relationship within myself, and then
Right.
in transforming the relationship with myself, I could then have him transform, because he never did any of the work. I did
Right,
the work for
right.
him to come closer.
But I also see.
But there were also boundaries.
I was
needed
just
to
going
put
to
in
say
place.
that. Absolutely.
Tons of boundaries.
Tons of
I had
boundaries.
to cut him out of my life for
Yeah.
6 months. I had
Yeah.
to tell him, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yep.
This is not the way I need to be treated.
Yep.
I'm no longer going to be your daughter.
Yep.
If you engage with me that way, that's it. We're done.
Yep.
So that was a process.
Yeah, and then for me, he would put me in the middle of that, and then he would come to me and say, "Your daughter, and you have to do this." And I had to also put a boundary up and say, "No, that's
Right.
not my relationship with Alicia.
Yeah.
It's your relationship." And I think along the way, I don't know if it's his age as well. I think he has softened to that.
Yeah.
But I also know that in my relationship with him, I needed to forgive him as well as myself, but I had to look at, where was I in this relationship? What did I do in this relationship that I could have chosen to do differently?
Right.
And what it was for me is that I didn't take responsibility for some of the things that I probably needed to.
Yeah.
And so I always, one of my things is and I don't want to make it wrong because of where I came from, but I really wanted to be taken care of.
Right.
And to this day, yes, it's great, but what happened to me is that I learned that no one's coming to save me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. That's a big one. And so I had to forgive myself
Right.
in not doing certain things that probably I needed to do. But yet, if I look at the whole picture, I feel that this work helped me so much that I can be in his presence. I can have him over. I mean, it's like, I don't even remember being married to him.
Right.
And I was, even though I was separated and then divorced and all that time,
Well,
but
I
it's
think-
interesting.
Yeah, but I think when you do enough forgiveness with, again, yourself, it's easier to have that space with somebody else, because there's no triggers. The triggers are gone because you've released yourself and the other. You've released, like for me, I released myself and then I released my father. So now the relationship can be what I make it. And he'll
With
follow
him.
along. Sure.
But yet, do you sometimes find that things come up in a relationship that's similar
Yeah,
to
but
something that you had with him?
sure, but then I look.
Right, and what
And
do you
then
do?
I look inside to see
Mhm.
what is this person showing me that I can't be with within myself.
Correct.
And once I can identify it,
Mm-hmm.
then I go inside and I see that part of me and I ask it what it needs, or the little girl part of me, what do
Yeah,
you need
that-
right
yeah.
now? And usually it's similar. It's, I need you to love me,
Yeah.
I need you to take care of me, I need you're okay,
Yeah.
you're important, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think those are the shadows of the light.
Yeah.
Those are your light shadows. And
Yeah.
it's really, once you get to that point and you work through...
I think the darker you are,
yeah.
the lighter you get.
Yes,
Because you bring the
absolutely.
light to the dark.
Absolutely.
And you transform it.
And that light is like so bright.
yeah.
And it's all about how you could love yourself and what you need to do to love yourself. And I think that's also something that is needed on a daily basis.
Yeah.
What is it, something that you can do for yourself? I know for me, I wrote a ton of forgiveness letters.
Yep.
And I think that would be a great segue for other people.
especially during the holidays.
Absolutely during the holidays, is to write a forgiveness letter. And it's not like you have to tell them, it's like it's for you. And I used to write, God, I have journals, but I would take my forgiveness letters, I'd rip it up and I would burn them, or I put them in the garbage and I say, goodbye, I see you. And it really cleanses your soul. It really does. It's something energetically that happens.
And forgiveness letter could be like, I forgive, like an example, I forgive myself for, being a bad daughter. I forgive myself for being a bad mother. I forgive myself for, not listening to myself. And just keep going until there's nothing left to forgive. And then you just, like you said, rip it up, burn it.
Yep.
But be careful when you burn it, to burn it in an area where you're not around anybody. Be safe around burning, everybody.
That's
precaution. Okay?
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
But I think that's such a great tip.
And the other thing is, because we talked about who I am and what I do, and then part about what I do is I'm also a massage therapist.
Yes, she is.
And so...
And she's good. Her hands are like... Forget about it.
Thank you. But working with the body and working with the emotional body, I think, and I work in Boca. I work at Tropical Serenity Spa. We do a lot of amazing work. We do fascia blasting, which is amazing. It's a treatment for people with chronic pain and injuries and so on. And it really gets rid of the inflammation, and it really works with adhesions in the body and gets rid of pain. But in that, it's interesting, I had a session the other day. We're talking about forgiveness, and I was doing the fascia blasting, and when you're working with the physical body and you're working with the emotional body, and you start using this tool that I'm telling that breaks through adhesions, all of a sudden she starts crying. And of course I know that your body, your tissues hold your issues.
Yep.
There is no way, I've been doing this 20 years, and in 20 years, I've had people released on the table in ways that were incredible. But what's so interesting is that through that session, she had told me the next day that because of that session, that she remembered a time when something happened to her physically that she had a trigger for. And so she needed to forgive that person for the violation that she wasn't even aware of until we started working on the body. Yeah. So it's just interesting how forgiveness can pop up.
Absolutely. And do you remember there were so many times that before you even did the fascia blasting, and you would work with me, and all these emotions would come up, and I would get off the table, and I truly looked like a prize fighter. I really did. My eyes were swollen. But that cathartic release is so important, again, because of the fact if people don't have an avenue to release their toxic energy, it stays within the body.
That's right.
And that's why there's heart disease and there's cancer and there's so many things just because of that.
Yeah, and I think when you can forgive, and some of the ways, like we talked about, which people can walk away with and take away with, is that, during the holiday season, just look and see who's, in your family, who's triggering you. Yeah. And then write a forgiveness letter to to that person, obviously in private. I forgive, Jerry for whatever it is. And be able to release that in that way.
And I think the other thing is, in the forgiveness of yourself, then it's not only easier for the person who is angry at you and there's just no way that you can get in, you just send them love.
That's right.
You subliminally send them love, and it just feels so much better than pointing the finger, because when you point that finger, the three fingers come back at you.
Yeah, and the other thing is to hire a coach.
That's what I was going to say.
That's the bottom line. Why are we here? Why are you here? So that they can hire you to transform their lives. That's why you're here.
So that's what I said at the beginning, is to have a free consult with me for a half hour. And
where do they connect with you?
Well, I'm going to tell you. But also to create the best, she's jumping on it. to create
because she is the
year.
best coach. I mean, listen, everything I've learned is through what we've done together.
Yes,
and that
we did work a lot together.
But as a coach, that's
Yes.
what people want from
Yes.
you. The possibility, which
and
you've done for so many people in
Yes,
this
I
world.
definitely have. I was roasted the other night, and when I heard people talk about me, I was like, it really like knocked my sails away. It really did it. I wish, and I said to somebody, I wish that you recorded it so when I feel like shit, I'll just listen to it and it'll make me feel better.
That's it.
So, in any event, I don't know if I was allowed to say that, but I did.
It's okay.
So forgive me. Anyhow,
But that's why.
So yeah, to create the best year of your life, instead of taking all this negative energy with you, what I know for sure, if you're open and you're willing to go within, you will win and you will receive everything that you need. And my number to contact me is 954-464-7017. My email is coachrochelle@comcast.net. My website is www.rochelleschwartz.com. And I think this is such a perfect time of the year to really start to really look and see what is it that you need to bring back to you, to love all of who you are so that you can move forward into 2018. And the other thing I wanted Alicia to say is how if people want to contact you for the fascia blasting and whatever.
Well, if you want to contact me for the fascia blasting, you can go to Tropical Serenity Spa, and we're right here in Boca. Jennifer is my partner in crime, and she and I do the blasting, and we are excited to have anybody come and do more of the work we're doing.
And it's really powerful.
Yeah, and you can always contact me at on my cell, which is 619-723-1759, and my email address is shadowbstr3@yahoo.com. And I thank you for having me.
No. Are you sure now?
Nope, I'm sure.
Come on.
I'm sure.
Are you sure?
And everybody, let me just tell you, if you want a great coach and someone that has a heart of gold and that will support you from that place of the heart, my mom is that woman for you, and she'll help you transform your life.
So the only thing I want to say in closing is forgiveness is the best form of love. It takes a strong person to say sorry. And I'm even stronger to forgive. So, from my heart to yours, and I always love these glasses.
Even with your glasses on.
Because just to keep the light of your heart opened and shining for more love.
That does look so funny. I'm sorry.
And I just, what can I say?
Thanks,
I
Mama.
love you.
I love you. Do I have my makeup on me now?
That's okay.
Bye.